Hi guys, welcome back to Nature Preserve Life. Thane and
And Judy.
my better half, right?
Oh,
Oh,
that's
anyway,
funny.
I wanted to
Okay.
introduce the idea of 10 things that we don't really like. One might say things that you may come to hate about living in a remote nature preserve.
Yeah.
So it's not that we really hate it, it's just things you need to be aware of and take into consideration before making a big commitment and change to your lives.
Yep.
I mean, it's something that if you've lived in a remote location before, which Judy and I both have, it's not that foreign to us if we run across these issues.
Right.
But I think our viewers here, you really need to be aware for making these kinds of commitments. It's not all bad, but the more you know in advance, the easier you'll transition
Right.
to a rural, remote location. So I think Judy's going to
Okay.
introduce our first
So number
subject.
one is going to be isolation. So the nearest, well, Albuquerque is an hour and a half away. And yeah. And like, I don't know if you want to go to the movies or you want to
Nice dinner.
nice dinner.
Forget it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those conveniences you just don't have out here. You're too isolated.
Right.
So take that into
Right.
consideration.
Or if
That
you're like a vegan or right, it's hard. It's hard. If you're on a special diet, it's hard. I mean, they have the little sandwich shops in town and it's awesome. And she's been amazing. Um, and and she has her gluten-free stuff, but
that's
it's
rare.
that's rare. I mean, there's a lot of places that don't. And yeah.
So the isolation has
The
its down
isolation,
points.
it does. It's tough. Um, you know, entertainment, just there's stuff. Oh, well, okay, so Friday nights, well, like every other Friday night, they have like a movie night at the little deal. What's that?
The
The
clubhouse.
clubhouse. But unfortunately, it's during work hours and things working. So that's hard. Um,
So number two, the limited infrastructure. You just can't get on the Google 10 different plumbers and start calling a few for some quotes. You don't have that option here. It's like one or two people you may know about,
and,
and then there's some things that
and they're super busy. I mean, they're
yeah.
booked. So you have to be mindful that, oh, it might take me 3 weeks or it might take me longer to have this done to my driveway or have gravel, put down on my driveway, whatever. So, yeah, so you got to be mindful and,
It boils down to also things like medical service too. We don't have any hospitals, really not much of a
uh,
clinic really
no, now
in
they
the little
do
town.
have, it's a helicopter and you got to sign
Yeah,
up for it.
that's not
So
realistic
that's like
though.
really emergency, but
And very expensive annual
yeah,
contract that most people aren't going to be able to afford. So
yeah.
the reality is medical services are very, very limited here. Um, that's why people like the folks we bought this home from, they had their own defibrillator in the house and
Yeah, yeah,
other medical necessities to make
yeah.
sure
To make sure, yeah,
they can protect themselves.
yep,
And I would really encourage anyone taking on this challenge that, especially if you're a retiree,
yep.
that you consider investing in some medical technologies for the home.
Oh yeah, and CPR and first aid. I mean, that's a must.
Yeah, that's just part of the limited
Yep.
infrastructure you have here. There's some things you just won't find any help with, and you need to become kind of a jack of all trades when it comes to
Yeah.
fixing your home. So just don't expect to find the conveniences of being able to just call someone for some help. It's
Right.
just not always there for some specializations. There's only like two concrete companies that service this area and one plumber we know of. The only other plumbing service I've seen is
Now,
from Albuquerque.
he's really good. He's
Yeah.
good, but he's booked out.
I
Yeah.
think there's two or three electricians in the area,
Hmm.
and one we've heard bad things about.
Yeah.
The others we don't know the
Yeah, we
details,
don't.
but like if you needed something highly specialized, like some specialized materials or something, you're ordering from Amazon or some other mail order system, and you're going to wait. It won't be overnight or 2 day Amazon Prime. It's going to be 4, 5, 6, even 7 days
Yeah.
that we've waited for Amazon Prime to
Well,
deliver
yeah.
something.
And then if they do, it goes to the post office, or most of the time it does. And they close at five,
5, yeah,
five. And if
4:30
it's a yellow tag, you have to go in
during business
during
hours
business hours.
and pick it up behind the
Yeah.
counter.
And so, it's tough.
So you got to be careful. Check out where, like if you're a remote worker like me, make sure you check your internet connectivity before making the big leap.
Right.
We were lucky. We had the chance to test it beforehand,
Yep.
and we're pretty comfortable with our T-Mobile service. The home internet works pretty well at this location,
Yes.
but I would not think that it's going to be good at all locations out
Patience.
along here, as there's probably dead spots around here.
Okay. Sure.
So one of the things you need to also be aware of is, especially if you're doing your own build, your own custom home out here,
Mm.
you may have got a great deal on the land.
Yeah.
The lots are very
They're
affordable.
going affordable now. Yeah.
I was very impressed when I first started seeing them out here versus what I saw around the Albuquerque area. But
Mm.
what you save there, you're going to blow a lot more on the actual build. Construction costs are very expensive here.
Yeah.
During COVID, we had heard about a bid that was around. It was just a rumor, but I've never followed it through. But it was around $500 a foot, was what we heard. At that time, of course, there was a lot of supply chain problems, so I'm not at all surprised that
Oh yeah.
prices went up that high.
Definitely.
But it could be a lot more affordable now.
Mm.
So check it out. Make sure if you're going to be planning on writing a big check to a builder or getting a construction loan or however you're handling your financing on such a large project like that. What we had planned to do to save a lot of money was build with earthen materials,
Yep.
which are, of course, very, very inexpensive,
Yeah.
free on site.
Yep.
And we were going to, rent equipment and just build as much Adobe bricks as fast as we can every day.
Right.
But our circumstances have changed, so we're not going to do that. But we had always figured we'd be able to keep construction costs
Right.
under $100 a foot, just because of the materials on site that we could use. Also, I'd be doing a lot of the plumbing and electrical and framing and everything else I possibly can myself, maybe
Yeah.
even hiring a friend or something to assist. There's different ways you can keep your construction costs affordable and within a tighter budget. Um, Another thing you can also do is, if you don't know much about the construction trades, start learning. Of course, YouTube's a great resource. Volunteering for Habitat for
Habitat.
Humanity,
Yep.
another great resource where you can get
Yep.
some real hands-on experience on the building trades. Anything you learn about it will save you a lot of time and money, and especially if you can act as your own general contractor. It's not really that hard, nothing special about it.
Yep.
You're just an owner builder, which is commonly how it's commonly referred to here in New Mexico and other places, where people just say, nah, I want to do it myself. And there have been times when I've hired people, Judy's hired people too, where they did a substandard job where
Yeah.
you look at
Or
it and you could have done it better
right.
yourself.
Right. Or they want their money, but then they don't finish the job.
Yeah, we've all been through
So then
that.
you're stuck finishing it up. Yeah.
And so, just real quick, what I ended up doing was I bought a beat up old house for my very first home, built in the early 40s. Had a lot of steel pipes that
But
I
that
ended
was
up.
back in the late 80s when you
Yeah,
bought this? Okay,
89.
we just have
Had
to
it for 3
clarify
years.
how old it was. Okay.
And, I learned all about the building trades at that old house. Learned
Yeah.
framing, electrical, plumbing, had an old fuse box where the
Mhm.
fuses would go out all the time.
Yeah.
And it frustrated me. So it forced me to take action, where I went to the Home Depot or whatever the big box store in the day was,
It wasn't a Home
and I got
Depot.
a big panel and breakers
Yeah.
and pulled more wire through, pulled my permits, of course, with the city of Portland,
Yep.
passed inspection, and boy, what a empowering moment that was,
Oh, I bet it
knowing
was.
I didn't have to spend $5,000 to hire an electrician to do that. I did it all myself with probably $500 worth of materials. So there are different ways to learn, and that's just a few of them. So please look into that if you want to stay in a tight budget. Hey, if you're
Yeah.
got deep pockets, great, hire someone else. That's definitely encouraged. But it just depends on your background and your situation.
Right. Right.
So,
Okay, so number 3, wildlife encounters. Ugh. Yeah. So you just have to keep your wits. As you know, I ran upon a snake, and when you're a city girl, it's something else. I mean,
she was ready to pack up and go
I
back to
was,
Albuquerque.
I was, ah,
But it was just a harmless bull snake, right? Something
right,
like that.
right, right. But we've heard neighbors come across a bobcat, and I think the bobcat was as scared as the neighbors. So,
But that isn't to say there aren't some dangerous wildlife out here. I
and
mean,
then
there
right,
are mountain lions,
yeah,
big cats out here, bears people have talked about.
yeah. We've never seen anything like that, but
Supposedly it's here,
yeah,
so keep
it's
that in
yeah. And
consideration.
then somebody was telling us that there was a snake on their back porch, and it was a rattler. So you always have to be mindful of your surroundings,
Yeah,
and
wildlife
that's
can be dangerous.
it can be. Yep.
So far, we've been really lucky. Pretty harmless stuff around
Yes.
us. But,
Yes. Yep.
okay. Number 4, harsh environments and conditions out here. That isn't to say an ice storm won't hit your city and paralyze it. You have that too in the big city. But here, because things aren't paved and there's not such an infrastructure to support everything,
Yeah.
we found during some of the rainy season that the gravel dirt roads that are around here, of course, can be very slick, very slippery.
Yep.
You really almost need to put mud tires on your vehicles or drive very cautiously, very slow when the
Yeah.
rains come through and really mud up the roads. Um, Snow too can paralyze things. You might have plans to go somewhere, but you got to be real mindful of the weather around you because it can, paralyze your activities and your plans. Like if you had planned to get to the big city to catch a flight from out here and you get hit and clobbered by a snowstorm,
Yeah.
you're not going to make it. There's no Uber you can
No.
call. It's the Mother Nature rules out here, okay? You got to have plans and plenty of food
Right.
in your deep freeze, chest freezer and stuff to be ready to,
Hunker
you know,
down and
yep, hunker down's really the word when it
yep.
comes to the environment out
Yep.
here in a rural setting.
Yep. Oh, where are we at? Oh,
Number
number
5.
5. Lack of conveniences. And so we have one gas station. I mean, we only have one real, I don't know. I mean,
2 mechanics, I
two
think now.
mechanics, not the restaurants. Well, like we talked about,
Most of the time they're closed when
they're
we want to go
closed.
out.
Yeah, the grocery store has limited hours. I mean, so yeah, it's hard,
There's basically a lot of stuff that's not open on Saturday and Sunday,
right?
or it closes by 6 or even 4:30 or 4.
Right, or they open at 10 and you're there at 9:30. Yeah, waiting.
Yeah, so
Ugh.
there is a serious lack of conveniences out here. And like
Yeah.
I was saying earlier, Amazon Prime isn't 2 days.
No.
It's a lot longer.
Yeah. Yeah. And so if you really need something, it's
Yeah.
a hardship.
Judy
It really
makes
is. I make yogurt, and I finally got a health coach, and she was like, okay, you need this and this and this probiotic and things. Like, Judy, it will be next Friday. And it was a couple days ago we ordered. Yeah. And this was like on what day is it? It's Friday. So this was like on a Wednesday we ordered, and it'll be that next Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah. So hurry up and wait.
So, number 6,
Number
limited job
6. Yeah.
opportunities. I can't stress this enough. Don't come out to a rural setting thinking you're going to make it. You're only going to make it if you're retired and have some good savings set aside,
Right.
or you're a remote worker and you got a good internet connection.
Yeah.
Then you'll do fine. But in town or trying to do anything part time, full time in town, it's very limited. It's all small businesses. Working for a small business, um, you're just going to be struggling to get by, I think. I mean, I can't think of any small business here
Yeah.
that's really doing well. I mean, there's no big employer in town. There's no aerospace, no manufacturing. This little town's just got one bank, one market,
Yep.
a few little art studios, and a gas
Gas
station, which we
station.
so
Did you said a
need.
couple mechanics?
Yeah, 2 mechanics,
School. There's a school system
big school. Well, big for this town. I
for the
mean, bigger than I
town.
thought.
Trying to think what else.
Post office, that's always important.
That's always definitely important.
But yeah, there's very limited
Yeah.
opportunities for finding
Yeah.
work. Starting a business here would be very risky,
Yeah.
in my opinion. I don't think there's enough traffic to generate enough sales in just about anything other than support of the infrastructure, like the mechanics. Those
Right.
people are needed. The market, that's needed. We do have a Dollar General, and right next door to it, the Family
Is
Dollar.
a Family Dollar. Now, there is a bakery for sale. So anybody interested?
Yeah, we'd love to have more
Would
business.
love to have a bakery that does gluten free. Be nice.
Anyway, number
Okay.
10, number 7, the technological challenges. Well, I would say in a lot of places there probably still is, but here in Deer Canyon Preserve, the technology works pretty well. There's always Starlink too.
Yep.
If you're in like a dead spot for T-Mobile or one of the other internet home providers that are wireless, you can still do StarNet just fine, from what I understand. StarNet, is that right? Elon Musk's
Isn't it Starnet?
Starlink.
Oh,
Starlink.
Starlink. Sorry, guys. We're sorry. We're just kind of ooh.
Anyway,
Okay.
the fact that you have it here means you have a lot of access to education, information, even remote work for a lot of us. Not that there's much remote workers here. I think we've only ran into one other so far out here. There's like 60 some homes out here that have been built. And I know of only one other remote worker. I think everyone else is retired. So keep that in mind, that the technology could always be an issue. You may have to pay for the more expensive Starlink. And it does impact you to some degree, but at least here it's not too bad. So
Okay, so number
Number
8 is
eight.
educational concerns. So, like in our area, there's no community colleges that you can just step into and take a class. Yeah, you can do it online, but for me, it's not the same experience if you're a CSA do it.
That brick and mortar experience can sometimes be very valuable for some students.
For me, it is. So, Thane, help me.
There's
with
no
that.
university for sure.
There's no university.
Nearest things are up in Albuquerque, so it's all online is probably still how you have to learn.
Okay, social isolation. Yeah, you're by yourself a lot, and yeah, you can get neighbors together.
Not very often,
But not
though.
very often because they have their stuff that they need to be doing.
And they're on a different schedule than we are.
Yeah.
Because we're still working
We're still
8 to
working.
5, and they do a
Still
lot of stuff between 8
Yep.
and 5, where we're kind of tied up.
Yep.
So there's that social isolation you got to be worried about or
Yeah.
concerned about, think about, that it's not
Right.
going to bother you. I mean, if you keep busy enough at work online, or in Judy's case,
Yeah.
working
See,
on her health.
I keep busy. Just researching and just trying to new recipes and yep. So
So just be aware that there's different ways you can find yourself very isolated out here if
yeah,
socially, if you don't push yourself or look into different things.
right.
So last and but not least is number 10, maintenance demands.
Maintenance
Excuse me, I got to take a sip of this.
Yep,
My
yep.
throat's getting dry here.
So my thing with the maintenance demands, even though Thane's going to give his little spiel, is I'm very blessed to have a man that can pretty much do it all.
I don't like doing it all, believe
no,
me.
but he knows how. In fact, what is it called? The internet thing. He strung it all through. Well, you saw the video. He got it all work. He strung it all through and did the outlets and did all that. And yeah,
with the maintenance demands in the remote areas here, you're just going to find a lot more just because being in a more harsh environment, things get more wear and tear.
yep.
Harsh water that we have here, the pumps get
Yeah,
more wear
it's like
and
when the
tear.
floater went out, he just it went out. So let's just order one just like it, and we'll
Get it changed
yeah.
out.
And you have YouTube videos.
We also had this season, this monsoon season, a lot more rain
Yeah.
than we usually do. And so there's a lot more stuff growing, a lot more weeds to take care of.
Yes, and they're not just normal weeds that you can just bend over and just pull out. These are ridiculous weeds.
And they don't seem to die so easily with.
And they got prickles, and they hurt.
Yeah, the chemicals that you can try, like ground clear, is a classic.
They're like the Frankenstein weed.
The ground clear just doesn't seem to kill everything very
It's
well.
wild. It just doesn't do it.
Yeah, so power outages, even though we really haven't witnessed much, we do still have a backup generator that's like 16 kilowatts, I think. Pretty beefy machine. That's our backup power that we also have to maintain. You got to run it every couple weeks or so just to keep it running along.
And then like the reverse osmosis, it has a line, and when it gets right there, right, or below the line, or right there, right, then you have to put they call it juice.
And
refill it up. Well, he showed you on the video that he did the little contraption across the ceiling.
It's like to help assist the main membrane and filtering the bad stuff out.
Right.
And
so just you have to be mindful that you're going to have to learn to do a lot of stuff.
A lot of chores around the property. A lot of
chores.
Like changing out filters and eventually the membrane after 5 years. Babysitting a lot of stuff. And if something goes out, you got to drop what you're doing and go deal with it.
Yeah.
Maintenance is a big chore out here, a big part of living out here because things break down and you're going to be dropping whatever you're in the middle of. Tell the boss if you're a remote worker, hey, I need the rest of the afternoon off to go deal with this.
Yeah.
And I've done that.
Yes. Yeah, unfortunately he has.
So there are some things to just be mindful of that aren't good things versus the conveniences you have in the city. That you gotta just be creative and you gotta be motivated, and you just can't be reliant on calling someone saying, hey, I got a problem with my plumbing. It ain't gonna happen. You're gonna be sitting waiting a long time for problems to get fixed. So you got to be ready to dive in, be a little bit of a jack of all trades to take care of your home and your life out here.
When you fix a lot of stuff, like we're talking a lot, the majority of the stuff, it makes you feel really good about yourself.
A little empowered.
I mean,
So that's the good side of it.
That's the good side of it.
Feeling empowered after you overcome a challenge or a problem.
Yep.
But just don't underestimate the problems you will see living in a rural, remote environment. It may look all pretty in the videos and stuff, and we try to make it look nice. But reality is it takes a bit of work to try to maintain a home out here.
Yeah, it does.
So just keep that in mind. There are some challenges living out in the nature preserve.
Yep.
heard of so many from the neighbors too. We can't
Yeah.
even repeat them all here, without going on for
For
hours.
hours, we don't want to. We don't want to bore you guys.
I mean, there's
But
one neighbor that's got some special chemical treatment. I don't think I told you, babe, but I
Oh.
ran in Tom C in town,
Oh.
and he was telling me about some chemical treatments he puts on the side of his house,
Oh.
on the exterior walls, that cost a fortune, but
Oh.
it retards heat from a fire. So it's like
Oh wow.
an alternative to
Oh,
protect your
what?
home and your investment from a forest fire.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Okay.
It's just one of the things that you don't have to worry about in the city because you got a fire hydrant right down the street,
Right.
but you don't here. So fire is also a big concern and threat
Yeah.
that people deal with out here. It's a big concern. There have been real wildfires out here that have taken out a lot of homes before
But
too.
not on the preserve, though, right?
Not on this
Not on this
preserve,
preserve.
but
No.
neighboring
The
communities and stuff.
neighboring. Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah.
not that we hate these things, it's just things you may come to hate.
Yeah, they might be. They're a little difficult, but yeah.
You just got to be
I
aware
don't know,
before you take the
sometimes-
plunge.
Yeah, I kind of think the good things kind of overpower the bad.
Yeah.
So.
Anyway, Zane and Judy, Nature
All right,
Preserve
Nature
Life.
Preserve Life. Thanks for hanging out with us. It was fun.
Yeah. Hope you
That
found it
was
useful.
fun.
Please
Yeah.
like and subscribe.
If you want, you don't have to.
We sure appreciate it if
We
you
do appreciate you guys so much.
We love seeing those numbers go up or those thumbs ups, whatever. Great. Much appreciated.
Yeah, much appreciated. All
So-
right, friends.
Till next week.
Till next week.
So thanks again for joining us. We hope you enjoyed this episode.
Yep.
We're enjoying a nice quiet weekend out on the nature
we're
preserve.
always trying to make it real for you guys, so you know if you choose to this kind of life. We're trying to make it real for you. So,
Cheers.
okay, cheers. Have a great weekend. Woohoo!